All right, Franciel, man, welcome to the third episode of CEO Hour. My friend, he's so excited to have you here today.
Thank you so much, Josue. I really appreciate it, man. It's really a pleasure to be on here and and talk about real estate, which is what I do every day anyway. So why not?
There you go. So, before we get started and we talk about numbers, tell us a little bit about yourself. How long have you been in the business? What were you doing? What were you doing prior? And I know, as I can see behind you, family is so important to you. Tell us a little
Absolutely.
bit about your family, something short.
So first of all, about me, I grew up in Brooklyn, New York, and I never thought real estate would be something that'd be in my path. But in 2017, I bought my first property in North Bergen, New Jersey. It's a multi-family property. And that's back when I had no experience. I didn't know anything from finding a tenant to writing a lease. And I kind of learned all of those things on the fly. And when I started to learn, when I started to see the positivity of investing, especially in multifamily real estate, that's when I really saw like a little light bulb lit up. I was like, wow, this is actually something that is, something beneficial for the future. Because I saw how you build equity, like how you actually generate cash flow. And that's the little thing that lit up in my head. And I'm like, wow, this is pretty cool. So I started after that in 2020, I bought my second property and so on and so forth. After my second property, I decided to become an agent and help people realize and or be expose people to this new thing that I feel like I just found out about, because it's not something that you run up into every day, and a lot of people don't teach you about this. And I've decided to become an agent. I actually became an agent in 2020, but I had already three properties under my belt that I already learned the bad and the ugly as an owner. So it helped me a lot as to why I wanted to become an agent. And by the time I became an agent, I knew pretty much anything that a client was going to go through. So it was pretty easy for me to transition from an investor to an agent. And yeah, that's how I pretty much began my passion for real estate. And now I have two kids, as you see here in the back, and those are really my fuel. Even more now, you add to the investments and things that I have going on, tenants. I even run an Airbnb as well. So I'm really busy with in everything that has to do with real estate. And I have my family too, which is even to add more fuel to the fire. Imagine.
Yeah. You know what? Like, I almost feel like you're like the real estate hacker. Like, you figure out the way on how to build wealth for yourself, and the way you go ahead and you help your clients is also through teaching them and consulting them through the process. Correct?
Absolutely, absolutely. But it makes
Got
it
it.
the fact that so what makes it easier for me to like basically sell, to teach people and for people to grasp what I'm saying is the fact that I already have it. That's what helped me at the beginning, and it still helps me now because I can show people a portfolio that I already have, and I could show them everything, including pretty much skipping the mistakes that I had to learn at the beginning because I didn't have a mentor. I didn't have anyone that taught me things like I said, how to write things that are important, how to understand a lease, how to understand how to do a security deposit, tenant and landlord laws and stuff like that are very important when you're investing in real estate. So I had already learned these things. So for my clients, it's basically like I'm a realtor. I'm gonna help you get the property, but I'm also a mentor that is like basically a blanket that's going to teach you everything you need to do to not make a mistake. So it's two things that's helping them feel comfortable. You know what I'm saying? Not only am I going to help you get the property, I'm actually going to rent the property out for you. I'm going to teach you how to do a lease. I'm going to teach you how to screen, background checks, credit checks, and everything for tenants. So imagine it makes clients feel really, really comfortable, especially newer clients that are coming into the market with that enthusiasm, but they don't really have the knowledge.
Hmm. I mean, it definitely sounds like you really care about your customers.
Absolutely, absolutely, man. And I don't until so I have like a rule. I have a lot of followers on Instagram until at least a 20 or 30% of my clients on Instagram or followers on Instagram aren't, in the situation where I'm at, creating cash flow and equity and all the things that you could do, leveraging equity in real estate, things that I like to teach. Until I don't put at least all my friends and family onto that, I'm not going to consider myself successful because I figured it out. But now I need everyone around me to figure it out as well. And a lot of people I've actually gotten a lot of clients that have everything they need, such as credit, income, and all that type of things, but they were never exposed to this. And they're also afraid because investing in real estate is very overwhelming. So, I pushed a lot of my clients that weren't even interested in real estate. I pushed them until they, what, let's try it out. And now they couldn't thank me enough.
Yeah, you know what? Like from what you said, it definitely feels like you have a big goal. You have a vision of helping 20% of your circle to receive cash flow.
Absolutely.
That's amazing, man. How many people is that, by the way?
Well, so to be honest, my circle, like my real personal circle, most of them are already on. So last year, three of my best friends bought, multifamily properties. Some of my family members are doing it as well. A lot of, at this point, I've already closed with personal friends, circle from Instagram, like about 30 people. So I want to get to the point where it's, hundreds, because I have, almost 14,000 followers on Instagram. That's going to be a lot, but it's not impossible. And a lot of people do see the things that I do. And a lot of people are actually hitting me up, even though they're not ready now, but for me to start guiding them towards the future where they're ready, say a couple months down the line, how to do their taxes properly so that they do qualify for a property, 2 years down the line, how to do their, because of income, things that, a lot of education that goes to it just to get a pre-approval on the table. Sometimes you have to sit and talk to someone like an accountant, a lender, sometimes a realtor that's going to guide you in the right direction. So I also work with a lot of people that are not ready now, but they're going to be ready in the future. That's another thing that's important for agents, because a lot of agents don't want to sit with someone that's not necessarily ready now, where you actually, that person that's not ready now could be a future client, a couple months down the line. And I focus on those a lot. And I've actually turned a lot of these clients that weren't ready when they hit me up 8 months ago, and now they purchased properties just a couple months ago because they did their taxes correctly. They got rid of some unnecessary liabilities, and they got their foot, they got ready with the things that they needed to get ready, and they ended up buying the property.
And thank you, by the way, for sharing that, Franciel. And the first thing that comes to my mind, hearing you that, mentioning stuff as, hey, no, there's no such thing as a bad lead. I'll be able to help this person either today or next year, and how you
Absolutely.
went from relational to from transactional to relational with your customers and your database. How at what point did you transition to, hey, I need to go ahead and be way more organic. I need to be way more relational. When did that happen?
So that's a very good question. I felt, yeah, I was getting more when I closed with like a personal friend or someone from Instagram, someone that came from like a small circle, someone that actually came to me, as opposed to me going out and like doing billboards, like I said earlier, or Zillows, which are not organic people. Those are people, it's through a payment, you got a lead and stuff like that. It's not someone that really knows you, that's going to you because of they're inspired by what you do with other people. So I like to actually work with people that are going to me because they're inspired by what they see me doing with other people on Instagram. And that's what I consider an organic lead. And those people, you feel the satisfaction you get from that is really more satisfying than working with an actual lead from, from Zillow or a billboard, because it's not really personal. You know what I'm saying? Like I said earlier. And that's where, and I just closing with friends and people from Instagram that would hit me up. I have people hitting me up, hey, I'm working with a realtor and we've been working for 7 months and we still haven't gotten anything accepted. And I see that you're doing these things so fast with your clients. I want to work with you and I want to see if you can help me accomplish my dream. That's now like you're putting a, like you just told me this. So now for me, this is like a monkey on my back. I got to get this done. So for me, it's so prideful. I feel so proud when I can actually turn these people, that are actually getting discouraged by the market and by not getting the offers accepted. When I actually start working with them and I see them go on the contract in 2 or 3 months, I mean, man, nothing more satisfying than that to me.
Oh, let me ask you, why do you feel you're able to get the job done way quicker? What's
So
the
I
one
feel like,
thing that makes you so different?
so basically education. So a lot of from what I see, a lot of realtors don't really educate their clients as to what really makes sense to them. Sometimes financial, like as an agent, you don't even have to do this, but this is something that I do personally that actually works out for me. Sometimes a client wants something that they think makes more sense for them, but if you actually sit with them and hear their conversations, how many kids they have, how old they are, um, what type of income they have, what type of savings they have, their credit score. You actually start to realize in your mind, like, so you want to buy this property, why? And then you actually make, after you have a real conversation with them, you actually can give them a suggestion to something that puts them in a better financial path than what they really thought that they needed. And that also helps me a lot. So I've actually turned a lot of clients away from what they thought they needed to what I told them that I think they needed. And when they started seeing the numbers, when you start putting the numbers on the table in terms of appreciation, in terms of neighborhood, in terms of positive cash flow, you put numbers on the table and people will consider it. And if it makes sense, they're going to go with the things that you recommend. And after you buy that property and you rent it out for them, and they see the actual numbers that you actually projected for them, it's no better feeling, because they're like, wow, what can I say? You really guided me this way that I didn't necessarily want to go this way, but it makes all the sense in the world. And I couldn't thank you enough, you know?
And what I heard you saying is that you listen. You're listening
Absolutely.
to what people need, and then you help them understand what are the steps to be taken. That's awesome. Now, another one thing that surprised me a lot, and since the early days when we've been having conversations, and you tell me this all the time. There's some people that come to you looking for a single family residence, a single family home, and they end up buying multifamily thanks to your advice,
Absolutely.
and then 2 years down the line, then they buy another one. So, how does that conversation look like with you and the customer whenever somebody comes to you with a single family request?
So that's very interesting. So when they come with a single family request, it's very important that's especially in those situations. I sit with the client, because when a client sees me do the multifamily game and they already understand it just by watching my stories, it's not that much of a conversation because they want exactly what they saw me do with that other person. So I don't really have to convince them anymore. It's already there. But when someone comes in with a single family mindset, unless it's someone that has, 2 or 3 children that they need space, they have a dog and they need space to walk, to run for the dogs and stuff like that for the children. And they're in a situation when they have a larger family already and they need the space, maybe not necessarily sacrificing their space, by having a multifamily property where you're probably going to have to share the backyard, you have tenants on top of you. It's more of a, when it's people like that already have a family, then it kind of makes more sense for them to go the single family route because they need the space immediately. But when it's a young couple or a young person that comes to me telling me that they want to start out with a single family, that's when we really have a conversation as to why you don't want to do that first. Why not start with a multifamily first with an FHA? Then, 12 months after that, you could use that as an investment and maybe qualify on a 5 or 10% down payment to actually buy that single family. But you already bought that multifamily that sets you up with positive cash flow that you could actually invest into your second property that is what you really want. All you have to do is basically sacrifice 12 months to do the FHA, the FHA law where you have to live in the property for 12 months.
Got it. And I think that's awesome, man, because you're so consistent with it, and you've helped so many people realize that probably the best thing was for them to get a multifamily. I really wanted for you to go ahead and share, how you do it. Now, let's respond to Yanni's question. The question that she had in the beginning. You deal with so many clients, and you do so much business right now. How's your schedule look like?
So that's a very good question. So so basically when I have let's say when I have a new inquiry or like a new client that hits me up on, or, via text because they got my phone number from a past client or from a friend or family. So the first thing that I do with this client is we set up a phone conversation. We schedule something for whenever they have time to speak on the phone. So I do a lot of scheduled calls with clients, whether I'm in the car searching for new listings or searching for properties for clients. I do a lot of phone call scheduling because I don't, as you know, Josue, I don't really like to do paperwork, and I don't really like to spend time behind the computer. I feel like as an agent, paperwork and time behind the computer actually slows your business down, because in reality you only really get things done by being outside looking at properties or being on listing appointments. So paperwork and computer is not really an agent's best friend, because you have to look at properties, you have to go on listing appointments. I feel like connecting, scheduling phone conversations with new clients, with new leads, and turning these leads into pre-approvals, sending them to the right lenders, because a lot of the times they have a lender, but they don't, it's not a lender that they know. It's something that they generated through Zillow or someone told them about. But when you have your own lenders and you feel comfortable sending your new clients to these lenders and turning these pre-approvals into something that your lender it's something for sure because they know they're not going to give you a pre-approval that's not really what it is, you know? So a lot of phone conversations with clients to picking their brains as to what they want, as to, you know, after I hear them speak, I give them my suggestion. If I think what they're doing is right for the future, if I think it's not, I always give them a suggestion. I don't push it on them. I give them a suggestion and I show them proof and I show them numbers so that they can understand that this is actual proof. I'm not just, you know, I'm not just speaking to speak. So I do a
Right.
lot of phone conversations. I do not spend a lot of time doing paperwork. I have, you know, I have my fiance doing that for me. She does the contracts. She does the, you know, things like that that I don't want to spend time on because I feel like that slows you down as an agent.
Leverage.
Leverage, yes,
Leverage.
you gotta
Hey, I have a
leverage your
question for
time.
you. So I heard you said you're out looking for new listings. What do you mean by that?
So looking for new listings. Let's say you go on Zillow and you go on, you know, for sale by owners. And if it's something, you know, right up your alley, something that maybe, you know, you have. So for me, if I'm looking for listings, I like looking at listings that my pre-approved buyers want. I don't just look at listings that it's not, you know, it's not really what I sell. Like let's say for me to go look at a listing in a luxury neighborhood, something that costs 2 or 3 million. That's not really, those are great listings. And you know, but I don't personally search for those. I search for multifamily listings that I know I already have a client for. It's much easier for you as an agent to convince a seller to sell something when you already have a buyer for them. You know, because you're not necessarily looking to list their property and just put it on the MLS and maybe let's hope that someone buys it. I'm going to you and you know, I'm going to you because I want you, you know, I want you to educate you on, you know, on equity, how to leverage equity by selling or refinancing your property or doing whatever you have to do. But I also have a ready and able buyer for you. I'm not just out here trying to list your property and see what happens. You know what I'm saying? So I like to stay with those type of listings, the listings that I know I can sell to my own clients. You know what I'm saying?
Because what you're saying basically is that you go for off market opportunities often, right?
Exactly. Exactly.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
And
for sale
again,
by
it helps you
owners,
also
off
get to know your
markets, anything like
area.
that. Say it
Like
again?
imagine you're the provider of off market listings in your area. That's
Exactly.
amazing because people come to you knowing that you will have properties that nobody else does.
Absolutely. And that's very big. If you can, you know, if you can do things like that, that's actually very big. And you're adding a lot of value to a seller too, because a lot of people don't want to list their property. A lot of people don't want their property to be out there and have random people come to an open house, stuff like that. A lot of people would sell if they know that they already had a willing and able pre-approved buyer and just go straight to the point without having to even list the property. So that's a win-win for a lot of sellers and a win-win for your client and for you as well.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now let's talk a little bit about leads, Franciel. So I know you're huge on social media, and you'll be able to expand. You'll be able to expand on how you truly take advantage of these opportunities. What are your three main sources of leads?
So for me, number one, definitely Instagram. It's for me. I tell people all the time, we live in a social media world. If you're not leveraging social media some way, you know, whether it's TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, you're missing out on a lot of opportunities because people are more likely to see video than they're likely to see a billboard or even postcards that you can send them to their prop. A lot of people just don't read postcards. They'll see them, is it just a regular advertisement? They'll break it. But when people see constant video, constant, you know, content on social media, even if they're not looking at you the first 2 or 3 days, but they see you consistently, they're gonna start paying attention. What is it that this guy does? Let me look into his page. Then all of a sudden they're looking at you and they're looking at you. And a couple months down the line from consistency, that happens to me a lot on Instagram. A lot of people will DM me months down the line and be like, you know what? How you doing, man? I've been following your Instagram for a while. I love your, you know, your family, how you're always posting with your families. I love what you're doing with your clients. And I want to speak to you to see if it's possible for me to maybe buy a multifamily property. So, you know, these clients that are coming with that mindset are people that have already been following what I do for months. So, you know, it's not something that just cooked up overnight. These people have been, you know, they kind of become a fan on social media of what you do. And after you pounding it so consistently, they actually hit you up with like, you know what, I'm convinced. Let me speak to you about buying a property or selling a property. What do I have to do next? And then once you have them, you know, basically you have that plate in your table. Now it's up to you to educate them, you know, to turn it into a pre-approval, turn it into a listing, whatever needs to be done. But you already generated that lead from consistency. So number one, Instagram for me. Number two, I have a good reputation with lenders now. So a lot of lenders are actually sending me leads because they know that I can turn these pre-approvals into under contracts, rather quickly. And a lender wants to work with realtors that they know once they have a pre-approved buyer, they know that this realtor can turn it around, rather quickly. They don't want to sit on a pre-approval for 5 months. You know what I'm saying? So those are my
That makes sense.
number. Those are my two sources of leads. Number three, I would say referrals from past clients, from friends and family for sure. But for sure, right now, number one, Instagram, lenders, and referrals from friends and family and past clients.
So let me pick up your brain on the Instagram one. You said you were very consistent. Uh, how does that consistency look like? What do you post? How often you post? What have you found has the biggest impact on how many leads you get?
So definitely every time I post a lot when I go see the property, and also when I go see a property that has a lot of potential, I will put it out there as to why I think it has a lot of potential. I will show you, a video of, first floor, second floor, maybe a finished attic, a finished basement. And if you do the numbers based on your projected mortgage, monthly payments, if the property makes sense based on the market value of rents, then you're gonna make money. So I do a lot of that, just showing people on Instagram things like that just have projections. I also put a lot of things on social media about cash flow, written definitions of what it is, motivational speakers speaking about it. I'm always speaking about the same things, and every time I have a closing, of course, I also put it out there. And this is I think number one, when people see people that look like them, whether it's female, male, same age, same ethnic group, closing, that motivates them to think, if that person is doing it, why am I not doing it? You know what I'm saying? And that motivates a lot of people too. So I'm always putting my
What I've
closings out
also
there on
seen,
stories, reels, and stuff like that.
one thing that I think is genius, man, and you do this like often, is that let's say we closed on a home, Franciel, 3 months ago. You go ahead and you put a story on a picture of the closing saying, "Hey, Franciel is netting $500 a month cash flow, positive," and I think that's
Exactly.
phenomenal too.
Absolutely. Because that's proof. That's proof. Proof is in the pudding, as they say. So when your clients that you closed on a couple months ago are actually seeing that positive cash flow, and they can put it out there as testimony to the things that you're saying, you're at that adds a lot of value to a prospect, to a would-be buyer, to a lead, because his clients are saying that they're cash flowing. He's saying that he's getting his clients to cash flow. It must be true. So now I want to do it too, because if he did it, I know I can do it. If she did it, why am I not doing it? So it's a lot of, how human beings are. Human beings are, we love to, it's especially positive things. If the next person can do it, so can I. Why am I not doing it? So it makes you think, maybe I should be doing this instead of, trying to invest somewhere else or stuff like that. So it turns on a lot of people that don't even know that it's just by basically seeing other people that look like them. It's like, if they're doing it, I have to do it as well. And that definitely helps me a lot. That's one of my number one things on social media that helps me generate leads.
And you know what's cool? Right after that, once you post that, and again, I'm a stalker. I see every single one of your stories. You post that, and then the customer, because you tag them on a story, then they repost the same story. Now their database are seeing
Hey,
what you did for them, and
exactly.
then you go ahead and you repost the same story again. So it's a whole chain of events that I just think it's genius.
Absolutely. And then people from their database follow me, because if their friend did it, then they should be doing it. That's how human beings feel. So they'll hit me up, they'll show me they'll shoot me a DM, or maybe not so quickly. They'll just watch me for a while to see if I keep doing, if I'm consistent. A lot of human beings want to see consistency. So if I'm, let's see if this guy's really about it. Let me follow him, and if I keep doing the same thing and they keep seeing it, like, oh, okay, I'm missing out. So people feel like they're missing out. Fear of missing out, and you generate a lot of clients through that as well. So that definitely, man, I feel like that's definitely number one for me above everything else. Yeah.
Yeah, it's probably one of my favorite ones. Now, let me ask you, how often do you post?
Every day, man. I don't go a day without posting about real estate. Even if I'm having a day where I'm staying home with the family and stuff like that, I'm posting videos, or like all other, real estate investors, people talking about real estate. I'm keeping it consistent because people want to see consistent content. You know what I'm saying? They also want to see a little bit of your personal life too, because it's not all work, 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 work. So that people become, as a realtor, people do become a fan of you in a way. I wouldn't like to say a fan, but like a fan. They want to see what you do. Like as a, if you're in, like we do when we like an athlete, when we like a celebrity, we want to see them on a consistent basis, constant content, and we also want to see a little bit of their personal side too, like family, like what they do on a day off, like at a barbecue or having some drinks with a friend. They like to see, different type of content, but you definitely have to keep your work um as a priority, and you have to pound it consistent, because people want to see consistency, like I said before. And you definitely want to be a secret agent. That doesn't work in this business. a lot of
Definitely
a
not.
lot of agents are secret agents, and that's terrible.
Yeah, they don't work for the CIA, so they better go ahead and get their butt communicating what they do. I have a
Absolutely.
question, Franciel. So, for the most part, there's a lot of people that find success cold calling. There's a lot of people that find success door knocking. You clearly have found tremendous success on this social media world. For an agent that is starting out, like what when you started, how do you start building that social media foundation?
So as soon as I started, also obviously it does help that I already had a lot of followers because I was in fitness before that. I was also a car salesperson before that too. So as a salesperson, it came natural to me. But to create that data, to turn my clients from knowing me as a fitness person to now a realtor, it basically all it took was content. As soon as I got my license, I joined the broker. I will go at when I first started, I will go to properties by myself. I'll go showing time, go on properties by myself and show them and speak about what I think about this property. Like again, because I already had properties before, what I think about this property, what I think your positive cash flow can be, your monthly expenses. I like to tell people too what their monthly expenses are going to be in a property so that they can compare that to their projected rent roll to see if the property is going to make sense. So at the beginning, I was definitely going to properties with no clients by myself and putting them on social media to make sure that all my clients understood that this was a new route that I was taking. So now I'm not a fitness guy anymore. Now I'm a realtor. Now I'm digging into real estate. I started pounding it and pounding it and pounding it. After I got my first closing, then my second closing came, third, fourth, and I was putting that out there, and it was quick because it was just a lot of content. I started bombarding people with content. Like, don't think of me as a fitness guy anymore. I'm in real estate now.
I love that. So what you're saying is that even you had no listings, you were starting out, yet you were previewing properties, understanding how the
By
process works,
myself with no
understanding the
clients.
numbers behind it,
Yeah.
and posting it both daily, on a daily basis.
Absolutely. It's not illegal for us to go see a property even if we don't have a client. The other agent doesn't have to know that. If you don't have a client, and you want to generate leads, I think it's a very good idea to go see properties and post it on social media. So that way people know, people will see a nice kitchen and people will get, turned on by a nice kitchen and be like, wow, where's that property? How much does it cost? That happened with me a lot. I actually got to sell a lot of properties by just going and posting properties that I didn't even have a client for. I would just post it on social media. God bless you, brother.
Thank you. Sorry, man. All right. So, question for you. In all this, you're building this business. You have your database going. You have your social media going. You talked a little bit about leverage. You said your fiance helps you with your transactions. Now, can you tell us a little bit more about that?
So, like I said before, I don't like, as an agent, I don't like to spend too much time behind the computer, except to do, anything where, if I'm gonna set up a couple of showings with a client, I go on the computer to look for what they need, and that's it. I'm setting up showings, but I don't spend too much time behind the computer looking, for houses that are not up my alley or stuff like that. I don't like to spend time doing paperwork because I feel like as an agent, if you can have someone that, even if it's someone transaction coordinator and admin, someone that you can pay or someone that can help you do these things that can help you leverage, which is, as an agent, you have to be out there showing houses. You have to be out there at least recording houses, like I said before, meeting new people, meeting new clients, going out and meeting new clients, going to events. So if you can leverage those things by having someone that can take care of the paperwork and maybe even the computer, setting up showing time appointments and stuff like that for a client, for you, that's great because now you can go out there and do the things that are really what we should be doing, which is out there networking, meeting clients, knocking on people's doors if it's something that you're comfortable with. Those are the things that really add value. And at the end of the day, we got to bring clients to the table, whether it's buyers, renters, or sellers. And you can't really do that behind the computer unless you're cold calling and doing stuff like that. If it's something that you're comfortable with, I don't cold call. I don't. I'm a people person. I want to see you and talk to you. You know what I'm saying? So cold calling works for a lot of agents, but it's not something that I personally like. I'd rather be out there and meeting people in person and telling them, yo, I'm Franciel Campusano. This is what I do. I'm not shy to speak. So that helps me a lot to go out there and meet people personally.
Yeah, I think that's amazing. Because again, most people they won't pay attention to their behavioral style, and they'll just keep doing something that if they were just switching it to something else, they'll get better results. So you didn't call, yet you're prospecting through social media every single day. Francil, how much
Exactly.
business you closed in the last 12 months?
In terms of I don't have I so usually I track through volume. So I don't I must have sold maybe 17 houses by now this year, but I'm not really sure. I go more based on volume. So 11 million or so, 11 million sold real estate volume
That's amazing. So 11 million with no call calls.
at all. I don't cold call. I don't call people. I don't call for sale by owners. I go and meet people in person, and I leverage a lot of social media. And I don't do Zillow at all. Realtor. I don't do any type of generational lead, the generating leads that are not organic. Not saying that doesn't work. I'm just saying that's what works for me. I'm more of an organic type of person because I'm, like I said, I'm a people person. I can talk to people all day. So organic leads have really worked for me. Social media, leveraging and social media, you don't really have to spend that much time because I'm just anything that I see interesting out there, I post it. It's something that takes me seconds. Doesn't take too much of my time. I always have two phones on me anyways. Might as well use it to my advantage.
100%. Now, what I heard you saying too is that when we're talking about this organic lead generation, is that is at the same time is way more cost effective than just buying leads, right?
It is because, like I was saying earlier to you and Roel, a lot of those leads that you generate through Zillow or via post, billboard or anything like that, those are people that will entertain you for a couple of days, and you probably get out there and see a couple of properties with them. But they can just go MIA after you see them one day. They'll go MIA if they didn't like the way you worked, or if they felt like it was better for them to go directly through the seller or through the seller's agents. They would just go MIA on you, block you, and you'll never see them again. So as opposed to an organic lead, it's someone that's already coming to you because they feel comfortable because someone told them that you're the guy or that girl that can get it done for them. You know what I'm saying? Those are people that are really going to be on you. Like, hey, help me accomplish the dream that you helped my friend or my family member accomplish. So those are real organic leads. And when you have people like that, you feel more satisfied to turn those around because those are people that are coming with you like, hey, you did it with them. Now you got to help me. Let me see if you can do it with me as well. So it's like a chip on my shoulder for me personally.
And how much more easier is to do business where you're dealing with people that know you and know that you can help them?
1,000% way easier. It's just way easier. It's like a bigger chip in your shoulder because you don't want to let them down because you already made yourself look good with their cousin or their friend. So now you have a chip on your shoulder. Now you have to do it with them as well. But I love it because it's like a challenge for me, and I always try to get it done to the best of my abilities. And like for me, it's nothing better than working with organic leads.
Love it, man. Now, one couple of closing thoughts, Franciel. What's your vision for your business on the next couple of years?
Growth, man. I want to have like I told you before, I want to have a large percentage of my circle doing the same thing that I'm doing, investing in cash flowing asset, real estate, uh, seeing clients, build equity where they call me 2 or 3 years down the line and be like, hey, I'm up, 150,000 on my house. What should I do? Should I get a HELOC on it? Should I cash out refinance so I can buy another property? A lot of people don't know that you can leverage your equity without having to ever break a dollar out of your pocket. That's those are things that I speak to people about. A lot of agents don't do because it's very important to get people to understand that from buying 1 or 2 properties, they might never have to touch their pockets again. They can just leverage their equity, especially if they're in the right location. So that conversations like that also excite clients. And they're like, wow, I didn't know I can do that. I know that was a possibility, and that's something that makes them feel more comfortable about their investment as well, because they know in the future they can build some equity that they can refi and buy another property.
Love it, love it, man. And just this question, I've been thinking about it for a while, and it was not in the notes that I sent you, by the way. For us to start preparing for the conversation. What would you say is the biggest challenge you have ahead of you
Interest
on
rates,
on on,
man.
on achieving that vision? You have this vision of having the larger percentage of your circle investing in real estate, getting equity. What's the biggest roadblock you will encounter while getting to that vision?
I think it's gonna be the only interest rates, to be honest, is interest rates, control people's emotions because they're a lot of people read on, hear on the television or read on social media that the rates are going higher. And it's more of a job. Now, when the rates are higher, it's more like as an agent, you have to be more educated now. And because obviously the higher the interest rates, the less cash flow you're going to generate because your mortgage payments are going to be higher, especially if you're buying at the same market value as you were 2 years ago, because a lot of properties are lasting a little longer on the market, but they're still selling for the same amount of price. So I don't know that the properties are going to take a hit, especially in locations so close to New York. So if it doesn't take a hit drastically, then the interest rates are going to become a problem, because now for you to be able to put out there the same cash flow that you would 2 years ago, it's going to be a lot more challenging. So as an agent, now your education to your client is even more important, to let clients know that you don't marry an interest rate. You go on a date with an interest rate, for a year or two. You wait for the market to drop a bit, and then you could always refinance an interest rate for something lower. So even if you catch a property, a good opportunity now that you're not, your cash flow is not necessarily what it would have been 2 years ago. You can buy it now, maybe at a better price, and 2 or 3 years down the line, when things simmer down, the interest rates come back down a bit, you could always refi. So you're not married to that interest rate forever. And a lot of people don't know that. That's another key factor that you have to teach your clients. You got to let them know that interest rates, even though they're higher now, they're not going to stay like that forever. Just like the twos and the threes didn't stay around for, past 2 years. These high rates are not going to stay around for 5 years either.
Interesting. I mean, what I hear you just said is that we're moving towards a skill-based market, and now more than ever, you need to be educated, and conversations really matter.
Yes, it's going to be more. It's going to be more challenging now for agents that don't really educate their clients. It's going to be more challenging now to sell properties because of the rates. A lot of clients are going to be discouraged, and if you don't know how to quickly make them feel comfortable, you're going to lose them as a client because they're going to be afraid of the interest rate. It's happening already. I've had to sit and speak to a lot of my clients to help them understand what a rate is and why I think it's still a good time to invest if you have an exit strategy and multi-families, which someone else is still going to pay the mortgage for you, or pay a large portion of it. It's very, when a client brings the interest rate conversation for you, you have to know how to make them feel comfortable ASAP, because they'll slip right through your hands.
Love it, man. Love it. I agree with you 100%. Actually, with this market shifting the way it's shifting and moving to a skill-based market, it's actually pretty exciting. To me, and the way my philosophy is towards the shift is they're going to happen. However, if you truly get educated, if you truly do what you need to do, the market share that you will grab during the next 3-4 years that a shift lasts, it's phenomenal, and you'll make way more money than ever. It's just a matter of not being closed and being learning based.
Right. And you also can't get discouraged by the interest rate, because a lot of agents will say, well, the interest rates are getting higher, so people are not going to buy. So they feel discouraged as agents as well. So once you let yourself down, you're going to let your clients down as well. So if you put yourself down as an agent and don't find a way to maneuver around the whole interest rate situation, where rates just reached 7% this week, if you let that scare you as an agent, you're obviously gonna, you're not gonna be able to make your clients feel comfortable, and it's gonna go downhill for you as an agent if you don't know how to educate and maneuver around the interest rate situation. And I feel like, yes, a lot of this is a lot of you're gonna see now where the real skillful agents are gonna be the ones that are gonna keep thriving, because it's not 2021 and 2020 where the rates were great and houses were selling themselves because the mortgage payments made sense and it was a trendy thing. Everybody wanted to buy real estate. Now you really have to know what you're doing as an agent, educating your clients to really sell real estate in a tougher market.
Definitely, definitely. And I know you do great, Franciel, and man, it's an honor to have you here. It's an honor to be in the same industry as you, and thank you so much for sharing all these golden nuggets, man. I got so many notes. I hope everybody that were listening got great notes too. Thank you for coming on. Guys, thank you for attending. Great to host you all today. And hey, let's go kick some butt today. All right?
Thank you,
Thank you for
Franciel.
having me, man. You have a great one. Thank you so much,
Thank
man. My pleasure.
you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Take care. Bye-bye, guys.
Welcome, guys.
Take care, brother.